My name is Muhammad Soluddin bin Ma'ayub and my matrix number is 285354.
My name is Chia Yasin. My matrix number is 284863.
My name is Mio Failukman bin Mio Taja Arif and my matric numbers is 284523.
My name is Tan Cheng Yu and my matric number is 286366.
Hi, my name is Dominic Ashit Padam and my matrix number is 290031.
For introduction, Hotsenli Berhad HSL began in the early 1970s when two U&E brothers purchased a wood dredging vessel and started what was primarily a sand dredging and landfill enterprise. The firm Hotsenli Development Company was registered in 1974 and corporatized to become Hotsenli Development Company Sdn Berhad in 1979. On 10 June 1996, Hotsenli was listed on the construction counter of the main market Bursa Malaysia and it became a first for a company from Sarawak. Since its listing, HSL has shown consistently sound financial results and has been regularly ranked among the top of the construction companies in Malaysia for shareholder value, management excellence and profitability. Meanwhile, for Huayang Berhad has come a long way since its humble beginning with 4 stories business on Jalan Kopen in the Ipoh. The group continues to build high quality, affordable integrated townships, high-rise residential buildings, and company commercial assets all throughout the country. Now, Huayang is one of the Malaysia's top property developers in the inexpensive housing market with projects in the Klang Valley, Johor, Perak, Negeri Sembilan and Penang. For the business activity of Hotsenli Berhad is sand dredging and landfill operation. The company began collecting heavy machinery to support its landfill activity and purchased more vessels to deliver sand and other cargo. It can now take on a wide range of challenging maritime infrastructure, civil engineering, and construction projects. For Huayang Berhad is a property developer who focus on low-cost housing. Huayang is dedicated to providing you with high-quality items. Huayang makes every effort to ensure that the quality of their products not only meets industry standards but also exceeds customer expectation. For example, one of the famous buildings in Malaysia such as Estetica Residences, Aviary Residence and Meritus Residency are the result of property developer Huayang Berhad.
Today I'm going to present about the liquidity ratio of Oxingli and Huayang. Liquidity ratio are a type of financial indicator that is used to assess a debtor's capacity to repay current debt commitment without having to raise additional funds. In liquidity ratio, there are two types, which is current ratio and quick ratio. Current ratio is to measure a company's liquidity or ability to pay off short-term debt. To calculate the current ratio, we need to divide the current asset by current liability. By using this formula, we have determined the both companies' current ratio. Current ratio for the Oxingli is 2.0 and for the Huayang is 1.2. In the above data, we can see that Oxingli is better than Huayang. It is because the higher getting better. It indicates the position more business finance than where is the business and liquid asset that enough to handle the operation. So Oxingli has higher current ratio than Huayang. Quick ratio. Quick ratio is a measure of company capacity to satisfy short-term commitment using its most liquid assets and is an indicative of its short-term liquidity situation. To calculate quick ratio, dividing quick asset by current liabilities. To find quick asset, we need to minus current asset and inventories. By using this formula, we have determined the both companies' quick ratio. Quick ratio for the Oxingli is 1.8 and for the Huayang is 1.2. Both companies have ratio above 1.0 and it looks better. This is because one is considered to be normal quick ratio. It indicates that the company is fully equipped with exactly enough asset to be insanely liquidated to pay off its current liabilities. But as conclusion, compared to these two companies, Hoxing Lee is greater than Huayang because the are getting better. Thank you.
Activity ratio is a type of financial metric that shows how efficient a company leverages the assets on its balance sheet to generate revenues and cash. Activity ratio is also known as efficiency ratios, which help analysts gauge about the ways of company handling their inventory management. This report is going to use three activity ratios to show about how is the efficiency in turnover of two companies, which is Hoxseng Lee Sdn Bhd and Hua Yang Sdn Bhd. First of all is inventory turnover. Inventory turnover can help business in making decisions on price, manufacture, marketing, and purchasement of new inventory. The formula of inventory turnover is cost of goods sold over average inventory. And from the table below, we can see that Hoxseng Lee Sdn Bhd has a higher ratio of inventory turnover compared to Hua Yang Sdn Bhd. And here are some tips to increase the ratio of inventory turnover, such as proper forecasting, automation, and effective marketing. For example, on effective marketing is the company can sell the things that more needed by the customer. And the next is total asset turnover. Total asset turnover is the ratio of net sales or revenue to average total assets. This helps company knows that how effectively companies are using the total assets to generate sales. And the formula for the total assets turnover is net sale over average of total assets. From the table below, we can see that Hoxseng Lee Sdn Bhd has a higher total assets turnover compared to Hua Yang Sdn Bhd. And due to MCO, both of the company face the problem which is shortages of labors. But the net sale of Hoxseng Lee is still higher than Hua Yang. Hoxseng Lee also has higher assets compared to Hua Yang because it just completed the mega project of Miri wastewater at the tail end. Furthermore, the account receivables turnover is used to quantify a company's effectiveness in collecting its account receivable or the money haven't paid by the customer. The formula of account receivable turnover is net sales over average trade receivable. From the table below, we can see that Hua Yang has a greater account receivable turnover compared to Hoxseng Lee Sdn Bhd. And here are some ways to increase account receivable turnover, which is follow up reminders, offer multiple ways to pay, and always state the payment terms. For example, companies shouldn't wait for the customer to pay themselves, but can be proactive with reminders, but not annoying.
Next, I'll be talking about 3.3 profitability ratio. The first one is profit margin on sales. So from this whole table, we can highlight is Hoxseng Lee Berhad has generated 59 ringgit and 54 cent over its 100 ringgit sales, while Hua Yang Berhad has lost 102 ringgit and 52 cents over its 100 ringgit sales. So what was the reason contributed to the difference between Hoxseng Lee Berhad and Hua Yang Berhad in profit margin on sales? The first reason was expenditure. So in 2020, Hua Yang Berhad has performed an investment in associate which cost 74 million, while Hoxseng Lee Berhad did not perform this action. The 74 million of investment in associate has contributed to the loss in net income of Hua Yang Berhad, and it has led to the negative performance of Hua Yang Berhad in profit margin on sales. Second was because of the expenses. So there's one interesting fact we can analyze from the annual report of both companies is Hua Yang Berhad actually has higher gross profit than Hoxseng Lee Berhad. But Hua Yang Berhad also spent higher on its expenses than Hoxseng Lee Berhad. In 2020, Hua Yang Berhad has spent 40.12 million on administrative expenses, while Hoxseng Lee Berhad has spent 16.45 million on administrative expenses. So these two reasons contributed to the difference between Hoxseng Lee Berhad and Hua Yang Berhad in profit margin on sales in 2020. Next is return on asset. So from this table, we can see that Hoxseng Lee Berhad has generated 2 ringgit and 84 cent over its 100 ringgit asset, while Huayang Berhad has lost 6 ringgit and 55 cents over its 100 ringgit Berhad. So from this table we can analyze three things. The first one is this both company has recorded a return on asset ratio which is below than 5%. So 5% is not a really positive number to see in a financial statement. However, these both company are asset intensive business where their assets are mostly in the form of buildings, properties and lands which cannot easily turn over. Second is we can analyze is Huayang Berhad has recorded negative 6.55% of return on asset. Well, this was due to the loss of net income in 2020 that can contribute to the negative performance in return on asset. Third is the change of total asset. So by analysis both company return on asset, we can see that the change of total asset can provide a more accurate measurement toward asset efficiency. Hoxton Lee Berhad has recorded growth in its asset from 112.38 million in 2019 to 118.92 million in 2020. So the growth of total asset is showing that Hoxton Lee Berhad is making less profit with more asset by calculating return on asset. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, now I will describe and calculate leverage ratio. Leverage ratios are used to determine the relative level of debt a company has accumulated. These ratios compare a company's total debt commitment to its asset or equity. The higher the ratio means the company is linked to a higher chance of bankruptcy. The two main leverage ratios are debt to asset ratio and debt to equity ratio. Now, this is the leverage ratio from both companies. For the debt to asset ratio, we need to identify the total liabilities and the total asset for both companies. For Hoxton Lee Berhad, the total liabilities is RM288,446,478 and its total assets is RM979,540,743. And for Huayang Berhad, the total liabilities is RM349,220,023 and the total assets is RM557,121,578. After divide the total liabilities by total assets, we can get that the debt to asset ratio for Hoxton Lee Berhad is 29.45% and for Huayang Berhad is 62.68%. In my opinion, Huayang Berhad has the higher risk from the perspective of creditors because creditor prefer low debt to asset ratios. Creditor will get concerned if the company carries a large percentage of debt. However, Hoxton Lee Berhad is more suitable in the case of economic crisis. If the economy were to enter a recession, companies with a lower debt to asset ratio would be able to afloat during this time. For the debt to equity ratio, the formula is total debt divided by honest equity. So we must find out these elements from both companies. For Hoxton Lee Berhad, the total debt is RM347,200,000, while its owner equity is RM690,068,265. Meanwhile, for Huayang Berhad, the total debt is RM261,955,000 and its own equity is RM462,420,949. After calculate, we can find that Huayang Berhad has higher ratio than Hoxton Lee Berhad, which is 56.65% and 41.8% respectively. A higher debt to equity ratio will have higher risk. However, both companies end up in the low ratio area because their ratio is less than 100%. As a result, neither of these companies will face financial difficulties or debt repayment issues. That's all from me. Thank you.
In conclusion, all ratios shown for both companies are a result of their performance, and Huayang and HSL Berhad need to improve their business to improve their ratio.